Let's talk about the cuckold EMT and Atypical. What a show! I have to say, I agree with you actually a lot. Like I didn't. I'm not gonna lie. Didn't quite. I didn't think you were gonna be right when you said season 2 was actually a good show. It made the show good. But you're actually right. Like it's actually a decent show now.
It gets addicting. It's like the first season was like a cringe compilation. It was like watching the Jeb Bush campaign, but like see, season two, it was I won't exactly call it like watching the Trump campaign, but it was interesting to go and watch, and it was like every episode there was like something that makes you want to get to the next one. They knew how to hook you in, and like like some of the things
100%.
in there, of course, I think were a little bit over the top, and one particular storyline with the sister I thought was a little bit much, but they left on there's two good cliffhangers at the end, and I kind of want to see
Ooh
how that
yeah.
goes. I'm actually looking forward to the next season of it now.
Yeah, I know. Okay, so uh we'll go non-spoilers for a bit and then get into spoilers, but it's definitely the humor is actually funny at times. They toned down the cringe. They got rid of a lot of the cringe. So it's not this walking meme, walking stereotype of autism. It's more accurate, like where they incorporate stemming and they incorporate, you know, the therapy group and a bunch of other stuff. But they tone him down a bit more so he's not so spurgy and just weird. He's more like a naturally autistic person, even though he's it's hard to you can't really define autism because it is on a spectrum. It's one of the things that is on a spectrum, unlike gender. So, I think they got the autism more accurate. And they even acknowledged like they got flack from it from like some like autism group. So they actually had to like redefine their version of autism, like take a look at it and fix it. So it definitely shows that they actually fixed it. They did their research and they refined it. The characters all have way more to do. They have a lot of development. The sister goes through massive development. The main character goes through development. So he becomes more mature and starts moving on his life. And the mother and the father, they go through development too. I mean, they definitely flesh out the characters more, and it's more driven by character and more driven by cause and effect. And cause and effect that makes sense. It's not like, oh, Sam spurgs out, so this happens, so this happens. It's Sam is in this situation, something goes wrong or doesn't, but it makes sense, and then it has an effect. The mother, did this stuff in season 1, so now she's doing this stuff, and it has this effect. It makes more sense, it flows better, and yeah, like you said, it was addicting. I was watching 2 episodes per night. I almost was watching 3, but I didn't want to burn through it so quickly. But then at the end, I watched like 3 episodes in a row because I watched 2 and I was at, 1 episode left. I'm like, I gotta finish this. And then when we got to the end, I was like, oh my God. Like, it was actually like, oh. But any more non-spoilery things you want to add?
Yeah, they definitely because the first season it was really just all about Sam and his interactions with his parents, and the second season Sam was still the main character, but like there was just so many side characters, and like the parents, they have their own thing, especially from the ending of the first season,
Yeah.
and like that whole interesting development. And some of their interactions were a little bit unrealistic, but like I think
Yeah.
it wasn't as bad as the first season by far. And it
As
wasn't as just like memey. It was more like realistic. And then like the one guy, what was the Indian guy's name in that?
Zahid.
Yeah, so he's like he was just kind of a joke in the first one. He just kind of do running gags like the cool, the ladies man Indian dude like meme. But this one he's like actually a real person.
Well, he's
I mean, they
actually
kind of did a couple
he's actually
silly things
meaning
with him, but I think they did definitely flesh him out a lot more. They showed that he has a level of like compassion. He like went out to actually help
yes.
Sam.
Yes, 100%.
That's
Yeah, he actually is a friend, and he's actually meaningful, and a helpful part of the plot.
Yeah, and Sam helped him out too in that one scene, but they
Yeah,
kind of they like Sam was a lot more compassionate in this one than the previous one, because like the previous one he was like, no, I don't want to talk to you, like I'll do whatever I want to do because I'm Sam. I don't give a crap about anyone's feelings or anything really. But in this one he was a lot less of a jerk.
yeah,
And I mean, he didn't have as much just like random meltdowns, but that's kind of his development in general. But I do think it was a little bit strange how like I don't know how you could really do this because like the first season was like every other episode he had like a major meltdown,
Yeah.
and this one he only really had maybe like
Two.
one or two incidents in the whole season.
Yeah, it's much more. The whole thing felt more realistic. The least unrealistic part is like the chemistry between the father and the mother. Like it works for the most part, but there are just moments where you can tell like this is awkward. This is like not how people talk. But Sam and his sister, I always forget her name, but those
Yeah, me too.
hashtag me too. Their interactions are very real. As someone who lives with an autistic sibling, it's very real. Like there's that warm compassion, like, you know, I'm your sister, you're my brother, like we love each other. But there's also that tension, that fighting, and that, you know, playfulness that comes along with it, like where you mock, you know, and I'm saying this in a nice way, but you do mock the autism. Like, oh, you're obsessed with this now, and which Sam had obsessions too. I mean, he's always had the obsession with the Arctic, but he has new obsessions. But like you mock it, but like, you know, the brother, the autistic person, you know, gets that. Like that is something that happens, but it happens in a playful way, which they show well here. Other than that, I'm gonna move on to spoilers now. So spoiler alert, spoiler alert, spoiler alert, spoiler alert for season 2 of Atypical and season 1, kind of. If I'm warning you now, I've said spoiler alert like 5 times, but here we are. So the big things that happen with the sister and Izzy is interesting, to say the least, because I first thought, you know, they're friends, and I think, you know, they definitely had some, you know, connection there because they got really tight real quick. But the ending, it ends on the sister getting a little feel for the girl. Like she gets some feels for the girl. And when I mean feels,
Well, see,
yeah.
I really didn't like that Izzy character from the beginning. Like I thought the first like real interaction is just a complete jerk to her for no reason. I feel like that was a little bit unrealistic. But
Yes.
like, you know, the alcohol scene, if you remember that one.
Yeah.
Where she just brings out like a bottle of vodka. Like, yeah, that's just like so unrealistic. No one just does that.
Well, they were left in the principal's
like,
office alone. That doesn't happen.
Yeah, they use like the principal's mug too. I'm like, okay, like they could have used that as a plot. Like that would have been interesting, I think, if they would have made that into like a plot device where, you know, she gets caught, and she did get like caught with alcohol, but the mom they could have furthered that a little bit more with the alcohol drinking.
Yeah.
But like they really didn't. At least I don't remember that. I don't think they did. Like they should have made that whole thing with the alcohol a you know, like she gets like caught at school, she might get expelled, but no, they didn't do any of that.
Well, yeah, like the mom didn't seem to care, the dad didn't seem to care. I know they had bigger issues to deal with, but they could have used as a plot point to maybe have the parents come together and like, you know, work things out and force them to work together because it's still their daughter. Like that would have been kind of interesting. You know, may have sidelined things. I think that's what the writers were worried about. But if that's the case, don't include the alcohol in it at all. Like you didn't need to have that then. Yeah, it definitely, their interaction first was very unrealistic. Like people just aren't jerks that blatantly. And her name's Casey, by the way. I just remembered it. So Casey, then, you know, they become best friends with each other, Casey and Izzy, which I would have rather have seen like some, maybe a little bit of tension at first. Maybe like, oh, maybe this person's weird, not just being a straight like jerk. But, you know, eventually comes and they flow and they seem kind of natural and whatnot. And that was pretty good. But it ends where they become extremely intimate with one another. Because she forgives her at her party. And she does this thing she calls like the forehead forgiveness. And she puts her forehead on hers. And it's like, you know, they giggle. But they're still holding it. And so you're like, my mind literally started thinking like, they're not going to kiss, are they? They're not lesbians, are they? And they start moving in for it. I'm like, no way. And then the mom like bursts in. That's another thing. Every like romantic scene in this movie is disrupted by the mom or the cuck dad bursting in. You notice that? It's always like, oh, hey, mom. Oh, hey, dad. It's like, that doesn't happen all the time at that particular moment. You know, that was a little...
I don't know about that. I've had similar situations, but not to that extent. But it is a show too.
True, and I kind of can't speak on this one from experience, so I have to trust outside advice. But yeah, so they do that, and at the end they imply that Casey is bisexual and has feels for her boyfriend and now Izzy, which I found interesting.
Yeah, like see that whole plot, it just kind of came out as a little bit unrealistic.
It felt like a forced
she comes from
meme.
being an enemy to being a lover, and like I don't know. I really don't know with that, like what they were trying to go into. I feel like it was more of a political thing. Like, well, maybe not political, but like they need to go and have this whole angle to it, which I don't really think the show needed. Like, they already
Yeah,
had enough. They had the father's a cuck, the son's autistic and going to college,
the mom's
and
a
then they
thought.
have now the sisters like, on top of like being a Kavanaugh in high school, she's like becoming this like lesbian like bisexual person. I just don't see the need for that.
Yeah,
Like, just it comes off as unnatural, especially with that one girl, because like she's just a complete jerk. Maybe it was because it was like that Hey Arnold like thing where Helga would go and treat Hey Arnold like crap, but really loved her. But
yeah.
I don't
I think that's
think
what they
that
were
really.
going for.
Yeah, like I don't know how much that really works though. Like, and then like they really had to do the lesbian thing. Like,
Yeah.
I just think that was a little bit too far. That was a bridge too far for this.
But here's the thing,
For
though.
this guy over here. But I'll see how it goes because there's gonna be some tension between the two, and I think in the next season she's got to go make a choice, or she's gonna
Yeah.
be confronted for, like mother, like daughter, I guess, with the cheating.
Yeah.
And I'd feel bad for the one guy because I kind of feel like she's probably gonna end up. I thought she's gonna end up like dating the one girl's like boyfriend.
Yeah.
Undercover lovers or something, and like cheating on him, and then the mom would be like, "Huh, now you know how it feels."
Yeah. Well, that was the thing I forgot to mention was that's where they started fighting again was because the boyfriend of her friend goes and tries to kiss Casey and she goes no. She rejects him. I mean, I thought it was kind of just like annoying that the girl just didn't even believe her I mean, I know she has a new best friend, so I can understand why she'd trust her less than her boyfriend, but she just kind of shuts her off and doesn't even let her really hear her side. That's a little unfair, but maybe that's realistic. Maybe people act irrationally that way. I could definitely kind of see that, but that's what creates that sort of tension, and she tries to get back together, and that's when they become lovers in a sense. But I think definitely third season is going to be about then her choosing a path. Do I go with my boyfriend or do I go with my wannabe girlfriend?
Well,
Which would be kind of interesting, but like I said, it doesn't need it. But at the same time, weren't we joking in season one that she was a lesbian? Like, weren't we kind of joking
yeah,
about that?
yeah, we were.
Yeah, see,
But
that's
like
what I'm
another thing
saying.
that kind of pissed me off too. It was like I kind of feel like the school year went too fast in this one. Like they should have extended it a little bit more because it just like went to graduation at the end.
True.
Like I think that like especially with that new girl in there, like the hippie who was smoking weed in the like back of the
The
art
goth
room.
girl.
I
Goth
feel
girl.
like she was in there. Like there could have been some more development between her and Sam, and then like that whole like love triangle with the one girl
The
who's
feminist.
like a complete leftist in this one. Like the other one, she didn't seem as bad, but this one she was like, the future is women, which is there's a little red pill
Female.
moment with that
Yeah,
because it wasn't her saying it; it was Sam, and he's a guy. He's like the future's women. It's great.
I was
It's pretty telling.
laughing. I was
That was
laughing so hard at that scene because first of all, like the cringy line of the future is female. I'm like, she would say that, but I'm like, but the man is giving this line and he's like making fun of all her feminist lines. It was great, like a red pill and a blue pill.
Yeah, I mean that was part of it. And then just like the one scene, that kind of another one that pissed me off was like where the dad goes to confront the bull, I guess, in the cuckold relationship. The person that the mother had the affair with, he just like punches him in the face. Really? And then
Remember?
he just leaves and no one does anything. Like it would have been great if the cops got called on that. And then like that's another part of the cliffhanger is like what happens next with them. Because
Oh,
after that, the mother and father in the car, and then the mother said something. It was like, hey, we need to go and like, can you fix this or something?
yeah.
And he's like, he just kind of ends there. They cut to that scene, and there's the graduation, and
Well, no,
there's the
no, no.
lesbian scene. They don't
They
resolve that tomorrow.
No, remember they end where the father is the cuck dad is going to the black woman with the autistic daughter who's interested in EMT. Remember, he goes to her house and he's like, we need, and he's well. They did some clever editing here. I'm gonna give them some credit on this, where they're cutting back to the dad making like this big confession, but it just cuts to like a shot of his face, so you don't know who he's talking to, but you assume it's the wife. You assume it's his wife, but then it cuts to show who he's talking to, and he's talking to the black chick. And I was like, yo, remember the night before I had said to you, were they flirting? Like, is there something between them? And there freaking was. I was like, whoa, this show went there.
Yeah, they're going to extend that into the next season with, like, the mother gets cucked. And it's just, like, this revenge cucking. And then they just kind of get divorced. I could see how that happening. And then I thought it was, like, really, that was funny. Like, the one, like, this is bad, but, like, I remember, like, the one autistic girl who happened to be a certain ethnicity, man, she stole Sam's backpack. It was like, really? You had to put that in there of all the ones there. That was the one, person who stole the backpack.
No, she stole the sketchbook. She stole his sketchbook. I was really...
Yeah, I was just like, really?
Oh yeah, I didn't think of that. But I thought it was funny too because we joked. Again, we joked that the cuck dad would beat up the bartender. Remember, we joked about that.
Yeah, I thought that they should have done that in the first season, but
yeah, he should have gotten out of the way.
The whole thing at the very end, and that's the thing that pisses me off because like she's just kind of like they kind of just gloss over the fact that she did that like at the beginning. Like there should have been like more. They should have picked up right at that scene, but like the dad just like walks away. Like no. If this happened in real life, there'd be arguing, there'd be yelling, he wouldn't just punch a hole in the wall. He would have done like,
which was stupid.
I don't know. He would have done something more.
Yeah.
You don't just go and like say, the mom's just like, oh yeah, sorry about that. I was just like,
I just realized that was foreshadowing him punching the bartender. At least that's
like they should have done that for half the first episode, like talking about, the immediate reaction. Like it should have been more than just him being like, the mom being like, it's over now. It's just like, what?
Yeah, I know. That was a bit just odd. But I thought it was funny, though. Like, because, again, we joked about him beating up the bartender. Like, I love how this show in the second season, like everything we joked about, like these crazy, ridiculous things that would happen, actually freaking happen. And it's great. Like, it's one of those like moments where like you want to happen and it does happen, and it's kind of satisfying. Even if it does or doesn't make sense, it's still satisfying. But I think most of it made sense. It's just I think the timing of it was a bit like it works, but it doesn't work at the same time. Because like you said, I would expect them to do that earlier, but at the same time they were kind of playing this thing out that, of course, he is a cuck, so I guess maybe he wouldn't do it at first. But they're playing it out that he's like, he can't really get over it. He keeps seeing the guy, and so he just kind of feels like he has to confront him. And like the scene where he pulls up with his car, he just pulls up. It's night out, and he pulls up. He's got this stern look on his face, and he turns over. I immediately thought, wait, he's going to beat the crap out of the guy. And it cuts and you see the bartender. They're like smoking. I'm like, yes, he's going to do it. Yes. Like I was like dying with laughter. I'm like, oh my God, he's going to do it. He's going to beat him up. And then he just did. I was like, oh my God, this is so funny. Like I was laughing.
That whole thing was just unrealistic too.
Yeah, because
the guy, if you go out there and punch a bartender in the face, like the bouncer is gonna kick your butt.
Yeah. And he stops the bounce. He stops the bouncer and goes, "It's okay, man. I deserve that." I was like, "What?" Like I like that's a very honest thing to say and a very noble, like for an unnoble person, a noble thing to kind of say, like that. Yeah, I kind of deserve that, but I still don't see that happening.
Yeah, like that part was just kind of weird. Too, and then like I don't know, I just feel like this scene, like this whole season could have been divided into, they could have made like 2 seasons over this like time. There's so much stuff that could have been developed more, like the whole thing with the pothead girl, the whole thing with like getting more used to the new school, because you mostly just see the track team in there, like, and then like the boyfriend of the one girl, of Izzy.
Oh yeah.
And then, like, I'm kind of curious. Like, they're gonna have to do a third season, pretty much. Like, that's how it ended. And I
Yeah.
think they probably will because a lot of people like this season because they did a hell of a lot better job than the previous one.
Yeah,
But
it's a
like,
lot better.
what are they gonna do? Like, because Sam's gonna be in college, and what's the sister? What's Stacy or whatever?
Casey.
Gracie, whatever, Macy.
Casey. Casey.
What's, what's Casey gonna do? Like, how are they gonna do this? Is Sam gonna have his own like offshoot just about him?
He's
Or
got a
like,
spin off.
how's that gonna work out? And then like the whole thing's a therapist too. Why does she still need to be in this one? Like from the old one, they had the therapist in there, and she was like, she was kind of done. Like I
Yeah.
don't know why I really needed her, but then she came in there, and then like the fiance, and then she's gonna be a single mom now, and it's like, oh, they say I didn't like that. They kind of promote this, oh, single mom, wonderful, good.
Yeah, she's
Single
like
mom, good,
embracing it. Yeah, she's like, "Oh, it's okay. My husband's not going to be here, but I'm so happy about this." I'm like, "Why? You shouldn't
Well,
be.
not
There's no
husband,
father."
ex-fiance or whatever.
Yeah, yeah,
I don't think
true.
they're getting married.
Yeah, that's true. But yeah, that was the one plot point that I think they could have cut from it and maybe focus more on Sam to balance it out. Because he was pretty well focused, but you did have a lot more focus on the other characters, which was great. Because I found like a lot of the plot points interesting and compelling. They were actually
They
pretty,
were.
except
There
this
would have been some other
therapist.
good ones too, like that one where they were drinking. The parents were drinking at the one house, and then they leave as the Asian kid
Oh
who
yeah,
like stole money from Sam or whatever,
yeah.
and like they should have like did one with the parents because they were drinking. That would have been an interesting where the parents got caught like drunk driving. Like that would have been interesting because Sam was at the jail set, like he was in the jail at the time.
Oh
And
yeah.
it would have been funny if the parent, if the dad got there for drunk driving, and he's like, "Sam, what are you doing here?"
That
Like,
would have
see,
been
they could
funny.
have done that, and it would have been like perfect.
Yeah, it would
Like
have
that
been.
would have been a very interesting scene with that. And
Yeah,
there was like that whole thing that like with the what you call it with like
Casey.
what was it? I'm trying to go and think of it. 'Cause there's a couple others. There's another scene that they should have expanded on. I'm trying to go and think of it.
Uh huh.
Like the whole thing with the pothead girl, she was barely in there. She was just kind of there,
Are you
and they
talking
kind of
about
kissed.
the
And
goth?
then
Oh, the goth girl.
yeah,
Yeah,
like she was
yeah.
just so underdeveloped.
Well, I think they
And they
were.
should develop, the autism like lover girl in that series. They did a little bit more development with her. Like she's much more feminist in this one. That
Mm,
was more of a plot point, but she could
mm.
have done some more developing in there. And like that whole thing at the end with Sam, and she like kind of flipped out and she was like screaming, and that's why she had no voice. Like they should have done a little bit more with on just her character development because in the first season she was a lot more involved with it, and this one she just kind of wasn't. And like Zahid, like they developed him a lot more, but like it would have been interesting if because there's a scene where like Zahid was smoking weed at work and he
Mm.
got in trouble once and he's getting in trouble again, but then Sam says he was smoking. I would have thought that would be funny as heck if Sam actually takes a puff of it. And the guy's
No.
like, "Oh, I don't think you actually do this," because he said it was like medical marijuana. Like
Yeah.
it would have been funny if the boss was like, "Sam, I don't believe this is actually you doing it. If this is actually you, then go and smoke it." And then Sam actually does. Like that would have been something funny.
Hey, pulls an Elon Musk, is what you're saying?
Yeah, yeah, that would have been funny if he would have done that in the series and then just like had that experience and going home to his dad, like going home to his parents, like high or something.
That would
That
actually.
would be a very interesting. Like that would have been a lot of interesting drama because like that was right around the time that the sister got in trouble for drinking alcohol,
Oh
and then like
yeah.
he would be smoking, marijuana, and he would have gotten in trouble for that, and that would be a whole plot point that they should have explored,
That would
but
have been an
they
interesting. That's an
didn't.
interesting idea. I have to admit that's an interesting idea. I understood the purpose of it, which was to bring Sam and Zahid closer as friends that look out for each other, and that was good and all. But that would have been interesting to add that into the mix. The autism on high. Like that would have been interesting. See how they deal with that and how they explain it to him and how they tell him not to do it and all that sort of stuff. That would have been interesting. But
Yeah,
yeah,
watch him get an addiction. That'd be really interesting. Watch him start like using his money to because he got his bank account in that one. watch him just like start spending it on drugs.
Yeah, yeah,
like,
and then the parents, when his money got stolen, like he tells his parents that like it got stolen, but they don't believe him. They think he's just spending it on pot, so he has to like persuade them. That would have been funny. But speaking of the bully, I want a quick note that when the feminist frequency girl just like freaks out and like screams at everybody for writing those mean things in Sam's yearbook, which doesn't really happen. I want to say that the people really don't do that to autistic people, and there were quite a few at my school. Like that just doesn't really happen. It could happen definitely, but why did she just suddenly start defending him? She was all stuck up like, oh, we're in a casual relationship. You're not good enough for me. But now she's all like, oh, I'm going to virtue signal how much I love autistic people and I love Sam, and I'm going to like freak out so that I lose my voice. But she doesn't really virtue signal. I guess she actually didn't mean it, but like it just was inconsistent with her character at that current state.
And he was with the other girl at this time too. Like,
yeah.
Why? Like this whole thing was just strange because I thought she wouldn't care because he was kind of with the other girl now.
Right, exactly. Exactly. That's what I thought.
It just didn't make any sense with the timing. Like I think they should have extended the time some more and have them kind of get back to, some sort of thing or like him break off with hippie girl.
Well, you notice how
like watch the hippie girl be one of the people who wrote that. That would have been interesting.
Yeah.
And then watch like the Hillary Clinton one to be in the hippie girl get into a bit of a kerfuffle.
Yeah.
Into a fight right before she's like graduating as the top one in the class. That would have been a real, like they had a lot more interesting potential plot points to this, which I feel they missed, but I still think it was a good season overall.
Yeah, that's a good sum up of it. Because I think it would have been more, because that goth girl could have really taken her character to the next level by, instead of being quiet and just being, trying to be edgy, by dressing in black and smoking, in the chem lab closet, she could have stood up for Sam and like freaked out these people. That would have been good. Now, how to tie into the fact, to connect the, because I can tell they wanted to connect the dot here. They wanted, Sam to read the girl's speech, which was a good idea. And I'm not gonna lie, somebody, again, who knows people with autism like that gave me a little some feels like that. I can understand, like the crowd reaction was really genuine of, the family being proud and all that. Like I like that. That was really cool. I mean, it was a cool idea, but like that how they got there, I don't agree with. It would have been better if like the goth chick, got into like a fight with that girl and just like beat her up, and so she couldn't give her speech, maybe because she was all bloodied or something. So she gives it to Sam or something. That would have been interesting. But final note, I will say, because we're running out of time here, is that God, as as crazy as the Casey character is going now. She's like, I joke with you in season 1, I'm like, she's kind of relatable, like especially for me in my current state. But now she's really relatable. Like Jesus, man, I'm like, are we in a simulation or something? I mean, I'm not gonna go into details and say specifically how she's relatable, but man,
yeah, it's something.
Yeah. What a show. Like I wish that third season would just drop now. I know it can. I know we gotta wait a year. I think we waited a year or two since the last one, but like it's been a year. Yeah, it's been a year. That's right. It was last year, but I genuinely kind of enjoy the show now because it was pretty addicting. It's not the fact they took the cringe out is what really helped with me. But yeah. Oh man, that was something.
Well, yeah, like see, that's the only thing. Like, what are they gonna do with it in the next season?
True.
It's gonna, because Sam's gonna be going off to this one college. I think where was his across state or something. It wasn't at home.
Yeah,
so
it's close by. It's close by though.
Like, is it just gonna be back to Sam? Is he gonna be the main character, or are they gonna go and like break it up?
Oh, he will be. I think
I have a hard time understanding how it's gonna be able to go and play out given the current situation. Well, without unless he has his own like series, and then like the rest of the family has their own, they break up into 2 different shows.
No, the college he's going to is close by. It was like the college that was his first choice he was originally going to go to. That was far away, but this one is close by, like his art school. And so they're going to start, the things they're going to play into now is his artistic ability, him adjusting to a new school, and, how he's balancing everything else with, the cuck dad. It's going to be, making a choice between the black chick and his wife. To be honest, I know it's a difficult decision for him because like he thinks his wife's a piece of crap and unloyal, which she is. She's a thought. But now he's like, is now gonna think two wrongs make a right by going with the black chick, which is not gonna help things. But then at the same time, you have the sister has to make a choice between the boyfriend or wannabe girlfriend. And it's getting more complicated.
Alcoholism.
And the alcoholism.
And
yeah.
the alcoholism. They don't even really address that. She's gets like, a couple times. Like they need to go and like build that into its own thing.
Yeah.
But like, how close was the other school? Because I thought it was like it wasn't as far as the other one. But that I think is he still gonna be like living on a dorm?
I don't know. I think he might be living at home, but we'll have to see because maybe he does go to school. He lives at dorm, doesn't like, and has to move to another school. That might be what happens, but we will have to see. So I would recommend Atypical season 2 if you want a little laugh. If you have people with autism, it will feel relatable. It's definitely like wade through the first season so you have all the background, and get to the second season where it starts getting decent, and just watch it. It's just such a fun little show. I'm not gonna lie, it is kind of fun. Even though the humor really doesn't hit it at many times, just if you really have nothing else to watch and you want to watch a Netflix show, just watch Atypical.
It's pretty interesting. I enjoyed it.
Yeah. Yeah, I'd give this season like a 7.8 out of 10. Oh, now actually I'm gonna raise up. I'm gonna give it an 8 out of 10. I'm gonna be kind of generous. I'm gonna give it an 8 out of 10.
Yeah, I actually once you started, you can't stop. The other one would be like a 6 out of 10. I would give this one an 8 out of 10 as well. They could have they could have definitely improved some things, but all in all, I think it was well worth my time.
Yeah, I agree. So I recommend it.